I feel like I should be more aggrieved by this transfer, given the general mood that I'm seeing online. I've seen a few people in our Facebook group have posted like things about how wound up they are about it and all this kind of stuff. One, I have this built-in reaction to people like kind of telling me how I should feel, and that's often to feel the exact opposite. I do find it quite funny. I saw Steve got into a bit of a tete-a-tete with people on Twitter last night for saying how genuinely hilarious it was. I think he was being a bit over the top with that, but I think this is quite a shrewd piece of business from Liverpool, is my overall take on it. I've done more in-depth diving than the average person, doesn't it? I've not gone probably as deep as you have on it, but the feedback on him seems to be that he's a good player, he's a good leader, he's a captain, he's got experience at a decent level, and he's not cost us loads of money.
Yeah, and to add on to that, I first of all, I agree with everything you've said there, and to add on to that, he's got that versatility that I think this squad needs at the moment. Obviously, we know it's a small squad and stuff, so having the versatility to play a little bit of right back, play at centre-half, play DM, play in the eights and stuff like that is obviously something I think that Liverpool were looking for in this window. I think the experience is clearly there. As you mentioned, he's a captain for both Stuttgart and Japan. He's had 50 caps for Japan. He's played 255 games, I think, at the top level in his career. By all accounts, he was Stuttgart's best player, and you know what I really like? They've let him go when they didn't want him to pursue a dream, which says to me he's a good guy. Because that's what you do for good guys who've done really well. So that ticks a Liverpool box as far as I'm concerned. He's coming in here and he probably realises that this is his biggest opportunity ever in his life, and probably his last opportunity ever in his life to get into Champions League football, to play in the Premier League. He spoke about it a couple of years ago. I think it was to goal.com maybe, that he wanted to play in the Champions League. He wanted to play in England. He feels like that's a story yet to be written. So he's gone out there and he's achieved that so far. And that says to me that there's a guy who's hungry for success, who wants to be a part of the team. And yet equally, I think he'll know in his heart of hearts that he's going to have to fight tooth and nail to get into this Liverpool side. And I think that's exactly what he's going to do. There are some question marks, I think, around Liverpool's strategy, but that's not his fault.
No.
That's where we are right now. And I think, look, if Liverpool sign just him, I'm going to be disappointed. I will be. That's not going to stop. But when Liverpool haven't finished the transfer window, when Liverpool are still being linked with the like a Cheick Doucoure and stuff like that, then this says that this is one part of the puzzle, and judge it come the end. Hopefully you can, you can get into that Premier League squad for this weekend. This is a guy who looks good.
I can't. Yeah, it's not. I can't do anything with people who think that this is Liverpool done and dusted, because they could be right. I don't think they're right, but ultimately the future's not written, so I can't
Liverpool
do anything with that.
Liverpool are actively looking for other signings.
Yeah.
That is, I think, right now fact. Whether Liverpool get those deals over the line or not is completely irrelevant right now. They're looking for more players. They're looking for more bodies. Hopefully they get more bodies in, and then we can judge the window as a whole. The first half of the transfer window was absolutely superb. Yeah. The second half's been a bit of a shit show so far, but we're still not closed on it, so that's all good, isn't it? Obviously there are problems I think that could arise later on in the season. He's going to be playing in the Asia Cup with Japan in January. The dates are almost exactly the same as the AFCON. So if Liverpool sign Doucoure, he'll be going to AFCON with Mali. Mo Salah will be going with Egypt, and obviously we already know that barring injury, Endo's going to be going with Japan. Those dates are, I've got them written down here, 12th of January till the 10th of Feb. AFCON's 13th of January till the 11th of Feb. I had a look a little at the group for the Asia Cup as well, Paul, and they're with Indonesia, the powerhouses of Vietnam and Iraq. So I'd imagine that they're going to get through, to be honest with you, because we saw them in the World Cup and they looked half decent and stuff like that. So that could mean that he misses Bournemouth on the 13th of January, Chelsea on the 31st of January, Arsenal on the 3rd of February. and potentially Burnley on the 10th of February. Now, the Chelsea and the Arsenal games are obviously the two that you look at and go, wow, what's going on here? But again, the future's not written. Andre could come in January for all we know. Or maybe Cheick Doucoure doesn't come in and somebody else comes in. So, but these are all things. Stefan Bajcetic could be fit and firing by then, you know what I mean? And that's it really, isn't it? I mean, I think personally that it's probably likely to be Bajcetic and Thiago and Endo for the three players if we're going to play the formation that we've been playing. There is an out of the box shout for him to play a centre-back / DM role and leave Trent Alexander-Arnold in the full DM role where Canate becomes the right back / centre-half and we see it a little bit more like John Stones. I don't think that's going to be like a week one thing if they ever even look at it, because they might not. But there is that option as well.
Yeah, I think his versatility thing's interesting because, you know, just looking at, he's played more games in his career at centre half than he has done at DM, but he hasn't done the centre back thing for a long time. And but it's, for me, it's a break glass kind of situation. It speaks to me about Liverpool just being, again, the word I keep using is canny. This is not a guy who, well, actually, I was going to say he's not a guy who improves our first 11. We don't know that, actually, because we've got no specialists in 6 at the moment other than this guy. So actually, maybe he does improve our first 11. But what you want is, it's nice to know that if the worst came to the worst, having lads who you can, because this is the thing about Fabinho, which probably hasn't been discussed elsewhere. He was our next in line centre half beneath all of our other centre halves. Fabinho would play. He played Bayern Munich in the Champions League at Anfield when Van Dijk wasn't available. So it actually, again, it speaks to the smartness. I don't think Liverpool will ever likely choose to play him at centre back. He might well be Trent covering the inverted fullback because he can do a bit of centre back.
Even less games as the right back than 15. I think it was in total.
Absolutely,
but he can do it.
He might be able to do all these things. But you know, we're in a world at the moment where Alexis McAllister is our best option at a 6, and he's played.
What numbers he got on his back, Alexis McAllister, just out of interest?
Yeah.
10, right, sound. So, okay, it's a proper break glass solution, isn't it?
But this is it, you know, but he can do it, but he's only played like 25 games in his career as a 6 as well. Like, so there is just something there where we've done this in the past, where there's like when we sold Gini, we lost Gini, the box-to-box midfielder, but we lost our third choice DM when we got rid of him as well. And that's something to that. Just having a lad who actually has got that on his resume, hopefully he never has. Hopefully he is just our backup 6 and he plays a handful of games and he's useful and he becomes a bit of a cult hero for us. But yeah, having those extra little bits to his game is just, again, it just speaks to smart. We could have gone and got, I think we've looked at Amrabat. I think it's been Amrabat or him, and there might be other names in that list of like stopgap solutions. I don't think Amrabat's good enough to be Liverpool's main number 6 for the next 2 or 3 years if they're going this Klopp 2.0 rebuild thing. And I just think, as much as he's younger, you know, he's 4 years younger, maybe 3.5. I just think they've looked at this and gone, well, Amrabat is nothing but a 6, and we can already see what his level is, and he's going to cost about probably twice as much money. Well, let's just get this guy ticks a lot of boxes.
For what it's worth, for me, I really like Amrabat. I think he's a quality player, and I think he's a dog, and you know he's a dog, and that's it. Like, you know what I mean? And I think Liverpool kind of need that, but I think he's got this as well, and that stands him apart. Is the sort of versatility and stuff, isn't it? And think, you know, all summer long, I think it's fair to say that most of us in here have. Probably more than most have been like the left-sided centre-half. There have been lots of people who've been right-sided centre-half. From here till the end of the window, I would still like Liverpool to sign a centre-half, but that solves the you need 2 centre-halves problem, because you need one plus him to cover the other side, and it solves your DM problem at the same time. So if we can get a DM in for, well, it's rumoured, because we're still waiting for the final fee, £16.2 million is what everyone's been talking about up until we sign him. And then obviously
a bit like clouded by whatever the add-ons and all that kind of thing look like.
So £16.2 million, probably a third of what Amrabat would have been. Leaves you, roughly speaking, 96 million quid or whatever it is still to spend. That's a Doucoure and maybe a young centre-half. And I think the difficult thing for Liverpool moving forwards here is he does take up one of your non-homegrown spaces, and there's only 2 left. So
including him or after him?
Including him. So there's one left after him. Doucoure would be another one of those, which leaves you really scrambling around for either an under 21 centre half or an English or homegrown player, I should say. So that's obviously, that's difficult. But then Amrabat would have been the same. So there's no, and we are late in the window. So what can we truly expect?
And
how many people on the market?
Something needed to happen on this, and what this doesn't, preclude is other players being sold. I still can't see if we don't get a decent offer for Tsimikas. If we get a decent offer for him, I can't see us not looking to move Tsimikas on if something like that came in from potentially. But again, this is the problem with all this, is that it's nice. I try my best to react to this and how it solves the situation and beyond. Yeah, because I totally agree. If we're saying there's 111 million pounds to spend, and I said that was the one potential bullet dodged from not getting Caicedo, is that if you're telling me that was all of our budget, then I watched that Chelsea game and went, well, we actually need 2 DMs and we need a left-sided centre-half, and you are leaving us short. You've totally boxed your first 11 midfield off for the coming years, but your season might fall apart because of where you've left yourself short elsewhere. And then least of all, what if he picks up an injury and you've got no understudy for him? Chelsea getting Lavia and him is the example of what Liverpool need to be kind of
me and Josh did a deep dive earlier on in the week, and I played transfer committee with him, and we decided, look, we got 111 million. If you're gonna have to spend 111 million on one player, who's your player? We both picked our players. We then went 111 million multiple players. Both of us actually ended up with 2 players rather than 3, because we kind of went with, and I was really torn, but I was like, I want a starting left-sided centre-half / left-back, and I want a starting DM. So I'm exactly the same as you. Liverpool needed, for me, 2 players in the first team, and I was willing to sacrifice a squad player for that. It doesn't look like Liverpool are, and it also is the options that are on the table that they can choose from.